So did you ever put a quarter or a token inside of an arcade machine and just be like, man, why am I so bad at the game? Do you really suck? Well, that's what they would like for us to believe. Or is there other stuff going on behind the scenes with the arcade machine that we just don't know about? Well, today we're going to find out. To do that, we have to go back in time, take a look at the arcade archetype in the arcade machine business. So let's go ahead and take a look. So one thing we need to know going into this video, the average gameplay time for 1/4 on an arcade machine is generally 4 to 5 minutes. So in a perfect world of an arcade machine, it should make anywhere from $3.75, and if you're really bad at the game, up to $5 an hour. Doesn't seem like much, but if you got a bunch of machines going, and if it's 2-player, you're gonna double that. 3-player, you might even triple it, it depends. So we gotta keep that number in mind. So back in the day, you had simple games like Pac-Man, Galaga, and so forth. And they were pretty hard games, but they weren't impossible. You could learn patterns and you can extend your gameplay. But the average person, generally if you're playing for the first time, especially Pac-Man Fever, you're not going to do that well. You can even die without clearing the first board. It does not take 5 minutes to go through 3 lives on one board. More like 1 to 2 minutes. So they're making some killer money there. On top of that, you can also play with 2 people. To go over the phrase 1-up, when it's 1-up and 2-up, and 2-up being for the second player, what that means is just what it sounds like. 1-up, the first player's up, you die, you switch over, and then the second player plays 2-up. So that's kind of where the phrase came from. 1-up and 2-up, it's just if you're a curiosity, fun fact. So games were making a lot of money. And another strategy that people don't talk about too much was the idea of using tokens as opposed to using quarters. Now the reason for that is because when you're a little kid, you got a token, right? That's a big deal. It's like they dressed the tokens up. If you went to Aladdin's castle, they had a certain shape that looked pretty cool, or the standard tokens that were about the same size as quarters. So to a kid, pretending like it's gold or whatever, it's a big deal. But in reality, what they're doing is, instead of putting $1 in the machine and getting 4 quarters, you're putting $1 in and you're getting 4 tokens. If it's a really nice arcade, sometimes they'll give you 5 tokens for $1. However, if you think about it in hindsight, they already made their money, real money that you can spend anywhere, into the machine and give you out something that's only good in that arcade machine. Now, if you got 1,000,000 tokens inside that arcade, you're rich. But you try to take that same 1,000,000 tokens and buy something as simple as a candy bar, they're gonna call the cops. And also, arcades had other ways to make money with certain settings in the machine. If you played Crime Fighters, sometimes when you played Crime Fighters, you had energy bars. So you had about 3 to 4 energy bars for your life. Other versions of Crime Fighters, depending on the settings, they use time. And some wrestling games did the same thing, like Main Event. No matter what you did, every time you take a hit, you're losing time. So you're gonna run out of time unless you play a perfect game. And even with a perfect game, your time's still gonna run out. So you're gonna put more quarters in no matter how good you are. But even with all that said, it's still about the machine making money, right? So what else did they do to make money? So one of the advantages that an arcade machine has is, in the old days when you played games, it kind of gave you instructions how to play the game, but it's not telling you really how to play the game to employ strategies. It's generally telling you how to get points, because back in the day, you really didn't beat a game, you just got a high score. A lot of games back in the day just reset, relooped until you finally died or got tired of playing or just walked away from the machine. And then as games went along and they got more advanced, you actually had endings, if you will, quote unquote. So if you were skilled enough to get to the end of a game, you actually beat it and you moved on to the next game, or you played the game again because you enjoyed it. But at the end of the day, you're putting more money in that machine. So that was another way they can get money. But what about that one person in your local arcade? You know, a little mom and pop shop. When he or she came into the arcade, everybody stopped what they were doing, crowded around. I mean, they thought he was so cool. They sat by the person and watched them play the game to try to employ all their strategies. This person's okay, right? Because even with the machine doing everything it's doing to try to get more money, this person puts 1/4 in and they're good to go, right? They're playing at least 10 to 15, sometimes an hour-long length session off 1/4. Well, the arcade's not making any money, right? Well, they got something for that. And you know what it is? You guessed it, dip switches. What a dip switch is basically the settings in an arcade machine where you can control the difficulty. So some arcade owners that weren't none the wiser, they just kind of left the game in default wherever it's at. Generally they come to be on an average difficulty level, sometimes easy. You know, you've been to that one arcade before where everything's easy, right? Well, either they didn't know better or they just liked you guys and took pity. But the average person is going to see, oh, my machines aren't making money. Well, what can we do? How do we fix this problem? Okay, we got something. Let's crank up the difficulty. So the next time that guy comes in, he's playing the game, he's treated to a surprise. And he's sitting there wondering what happened, and he's putting in quarter after quarter after quarter, and then he's out of money, and then he's just like, what happened? But the owner of that mom and pop shop, they're happy and they know exactly what happened. They turned up the difficulty. So let me give you an example what that would look like. So I'm playing the game here, right? And if you watch one side of the screen, you can see the other side of the screen, and just side by side, we're gonna take a look at the level of difficulty in the same game. One I got set on easy, and the other one I got cranked up to very hard. So take a look at the enemies and see what's different with the gameplay. And you can do this to any game that has dip switches. I mean, that's why they're there. They didn't make them just because they wanted to do something extra. They're there to crank down and make the game difficult to make more money. So let's take a real quick look at this short playthrough. Crazy, right? Well, let's say you learn patterns, and you even on a difficulty level, that still doesn't stop the player. Well, what else does the arcade got? Cheap ass bosses. If you play fighting games or any game, at the end, the boss is usually so stupid, and the game is just like over the top, where you're gonna plunk in about $4, $3 to $4. If you play Neo Geo games and you know the Neo Geo boss is at the end, I don't need to say anything else. You've seen them, you've played them. I mean, they just got stupid powers that, you know, they break the game pretty much. And you're so determined, you feel like, oh, I already spent $1 getting up here. I'm gonna just plunk in another $3 or $4 until I beat this thing. And sometimes, unfortunately, you just don't beat the boss. So that kind of sucks. And after all that, right? So let's say you got a pattern for the boss. You say, okay, well, I fought this boss a few times. I got a pattern. I'm gonna do something cheap. I'm gonna win. So at that point, rules are out the window. There's no honor here. What does the arcade machine do next? It just straight up cheats. If it can't make you put in more money in the conventional way, and it can't make you spend more money and the skill doesn't crunch you down, it straight up cheats. If you ever played Mortal Kombat 2, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, watch this footage here. I mean, I'm doing everything like I'm supposed to, doing the patterns, and this is only the second round, mind you, you know? And I'm pretty good at Mortal Kombat 2, but this thing, and I don't got it cranked up or nothing, but this guy just wears me out, does all kind of crazy stuff, and it's just like, come on, dude, you're straight up cheating. But the machine says you're gonna spend some money whether you want to or not. Crazy, right? How this machine just does this, and we just fall for it. We put more money in. So that's how arcade machines back in the day made money. However, are we safe now? Well, no. Have you ever taken your family to Chuck E. Cheese or Dave and Buster's or any place like that where they got those big machines, Skeet Ball, the new modern Mario Kart games, where you win a bunch of tickets? And your kids are like, I want to buy something at the prize center, the prize booth. So you plunk in a bunch of money, you spend, and the games are easier now. They're very easy, and you get to play through the whole thing. You really can't not finish the levels. I mean, they're pretty much dumbed down for anybody to play them, you know what I mean? So you're gonna get a set amount of tickets, right? Well, you want to get something like, I don't know, a fidget spinner or something like that, you know, a $2 toy. But how much money did you really spend to win that $2 toy? You probably spent about $20 to $30 worth of these worthless tickets. But the fidget spinner is about 5,000 tickets. So yeah, you're a winner. You got to get a fidget spinner. Did you really win? Let that sink in. So at the end of the day, guys, I guess the question is, why are these machines so freaking hard? It's an easy answer. To make money. That's all it is at the end of the day. And it's a lot of fun playing these machines. It was a blast back in the 80s, a blast in the 90s, and it's a blast now. But at the end of the day, guys, that's our answer. To make money. So I hope that gives you insight and kind of gives you a little bit of some of the schemes they used back in the day to get our money. And we probably didn't know what was going on at the time, but you know, if you're just a casual, you know, arcade player like most of us were back in the day. But now if you were an arcade owner, you knew exactly what you were doing. Shame on you. No, I kid. But that's it, guys. So let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know some of your arcade experiences, if you've been taken aloof by these machines, and because we all have, you know. So just share some experience if you want in the comments below. And that's pretty much gonna do it for this one, guys. I thought I'd just make an offshoot video about just my experiences with arcades growing up. And that's gonna do it for this one. As always, take care of yourself, protect your inner peace, and we'll catch you on the next one.